What's up, everybody? Welcome to our Friday version of Q&A here on Relationshots, where we're going to answer 5 questions in the next little bit. Go.
So I enjoy having some separate time with my friends to do hobbies and life responsibilities, and it seems the person I'm with takes offense in my spending occasional time away. They're saying like a full or a half weekend from them. They believe it's possibly an indication that I might have a problem being married and am best served staying single. Are there behavioral indicators that a person is truly wanting to spend time with you, or if they're needy and need constant validation? I mean, I feel like they're answering their own question.
Yeah, that's kind of deep.
Yeah.
So it is healthy to have some level of individuality in marriage, right?
Yes.
There's codependent, not healthy. There's independent, not healthy. There's interdependent, healthy, where we have a relationship and commitment, but I also have some identity outside of you. So it is healthy to be able. There's so many aspects of your relationship I know nothing about to answer.
Right.
So if you never have any quality time together and you're not connecting and all that kind of stuff, and you go out, it's going to feel like more of a problem. If you are connected and you are intentional about that time together and they still have a problem with you going out, then I'm going to start asking questions about who you're going out with, what kind of things are you doing, because that may cause insecurity. If it seems like you're going out with healthy friends, so if I'm married and I'm going out on the weekend with a bunch of single friends, that's probably not good for our marriage. So if they're healthy, if you're not doing stuff that's unhealthy for the marriage, you guys are connected and the person still has an issue with it, then there's probably some codependency stuff that you need to get an outside perspective on.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. What do you do if your partner takes every question you ask as an attack and gets defensive and angry, and then immediately turns things around and starts pointing the finger at you and makes you the bad guy?
Well, I do that all the time, so what do you do?
I just turn it right back around, right back at you. I mean, I feel like that's probably something I would do.
Gotcha. This again,
it's hard when you don't know the people.
There's some other factors involved. Yeah. So if this was purely at the level you say, which is what does it say? If you question them?
Anytime they ask a question, they get defensive.
So if you're just asking well-meaning, well-delivered, nice questions in a healthy relationship and they go berserk, there's a clear issue there. But what a lot of people don't understand, it's funny, I just had this conversation.
I thought you were going to say I just did a video.
No, I just had this conversation like 2 days ago with a couple. Because what happens in a lot of marriages is one person who likes information and planning and all that kind of stuff asks a lot of questions of their spouse, which is exhausting if you're the other person. And every one of those questions, they're looking for information, but it feels like criticism. Because it's like, well, why'd you do that? And what goes with this? And it's like, you don't trust me? So then you get defensive. So it could be that you're asking too many questions, or the nature of your questions are making them feel attacked. And over time, they've just got a defensive posture. Then I would say, okay, let's talk about what that looks like. And again, if the relationship is disconnected and you're asking questions can always feel critical. I don't care how well delivered. So if you're already tense, you're disconnected, you ask any question, they're going to get defensive and critical. If they believe the overarching feeling for them in the relationship is, you don't trust me, I don't do anything right, I don't measure up. So I want to know more about the whole relationship as a whole. Because just on that surface, you would go, absolutely, you're nice and you have a good relationship and they just can't handle any questions. That's not healthy, but there's usually more to it.
Yeah, but everything that you just said is the opposite of that. Like, you were kind of taking the side of the person, assuming the best of them, and saying, and I think I went the opposite way. Like, I think that the person probably is pointing the finger because they're doing stuff they shouldn't do. So instead of addressing the issue, they're like, I'm going to point it right back at you and take the focus off of me.
And that could be it. But I'm just saying, the person who asked the question, they're basically in the question saying, my spouse has got a problem, they can't handle any feedback, they don't want any accountability, that's the kind of stuff. And that may be the case.
Right.
But it also may not be the case, which is why I was exploring some of those other things. Or they're just selfish, nobody can tell them anything.
Yeah, that's more what I thought. I mean, I really did. I mean, obviously
that's
you don't
what
know, but
that person feels. I'm just saying that might not be reality.
That's true.
So
it's fair.
Or it could be reality. And sorry, you picked wrong.
It's not funny.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
a
no.
real questions,
That's
real
true.
people.
That's true.
Okay. I believe someone who is not responsibly managing their own personal affairs, for example, timely bill payments, etc., is an indication that they will have difficulty jointly managing household affairs in a marriage and for a family. What are the signs when someone is truly ready for managing life within a marriage, family, and children?
I agree with you. if you can't manage your own affairs, how well are you going to manage yours plus spouse plus kids plus other stuff? So yeah, I think that's a pretty good indicator. I always believe whatever you have before marriage is exacerbated in marriage
Right,
anyway.
I
So
agree.
if I've got follow through issues with nobody depending on me, it's going to be worse in marriage. If I've got rejection issues before marriage, it's going to be worse in marriage when the person I love most rejects me. So yeah, I think behavior, the question was like, what behavior things could you notice or something?
No, they're saying if you see that they're not responsible, and
Yeah.
is that an indicator that they're not responsible? Gonna most likely.
Yeah, I think
so.
whoever you are as a single person is who you are as a marriage person magnified.
Absolutely.
So your issues as a single are not satisfied in marriage, they're magnified. That's my general belief on some of that
I
stuff.
agree completely.
And I think as far as character traits, if you know somebody before you're married does not seem to care about their behavior's impact on you and won't take responsibility for it, that's a dangerous person to be around. So
That's true.
maybe that helps. Run!
What are some behaviors to help you identify an attention-seeking person?
Like you're looking for an attention seeking, you really are trying to find one, or
No, I think that they're saying like if the person that they're with is just someone that seeks attention, that they're not.
gotcha.
I don't know how to explain it, but that's just
No,
what it says.
that
But
makes
that's
sense.
what I took from that.
I would see a couple different kinds of attention seeking. One would be the person who is an attention seeker because they need outside affirmation to feel good about themselves is dangerous because you can never fully fulfill that. So they'll always be looking. Those are the people that often step outside the marriage because there's never enough to make them feel good about themselves. That's maybe one type. Maybe another type is the person that just always has to be the center of attention. Everything's about them. And I would say that's the person where when you start sharing your feelings in the relationship or what you think, they quickly turn it back to them. That every conversation, and we all know people that are sort of like that. You tell a story about your aunt, and I call them the one-uppers. They have a similar story about a relative, but it's a little better than your story. It's like everything gets turned back to that. Well, I did this. So I think somebody who can't, basically die to self in a moment and go, this moment's about you. Let me hear from you and support you. And they always have to bring themselves into it would be a pretty good indicator they need to be center of attention.
I agree. This is the
That's
last one.
exhausting.
I know that those. I did the hard ones first so that I could say the
These
last
are hard.
one.
Oh, so this one's
This
easier?
one's
than-
easier.
Those
This
are
one-
difficult.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to break
those
this back
were-
to 3 if you're going. We went from 7 to 5 to 3. This is
sorry.
emotionally taxing.
Yeah, I guess I put like hard ones all together this time. I shouldn't have
Oh,
done that.
okay.
Sorry.
Appreciate
Felt
it.
like you were up for the challenge, but apparently
Yeah,
not.
maybe not.
So, should spouses have access to each other's phones?
You said this was easier.
This is easy.
No, it's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Then you don't get access to my
There's
phone.
there's depth to this. So the easy answer is yes.
Yes.
The easy answer is yes. Spouses should have access to each other's everything. Bank accounts, phones, emails, Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah.
Because if you have nothing to hide, then what's the problem with your spouse being in there? That's a security measure.
Yes.
That is actually healthy for our marriage. That if I ever were to start going down a wrong road, security would be that you might catch me before I get there and avert a terrible decision is only a bad decision.
Right.
And I think that's what builds trust. Like if I've got areas of my life that I say, you don't get access here, then you're going to go, why? And then I'm not giving all of myself to you. The reason I say there's depths and levels to this is because there can be so many other little things.
Right.
So let's say you're a super jealous person and you're always going through my phone, sometimes you can find what you think you're looking for that's not there, right? And be like, well, hold on, how come this conversation and what happened? It's like that was like, that's somebody from work, you know what I'm saying? And, or I've known people who are fairly aggressive, who will go into a phone, find something they think is something, not talk to their spouse, and start blowing up the person that they think it is, only to find out, like, dude, that was like a coworker or a boss or something. Like, you manufactured, because of your own brokenness, manufactured something. So, like, I would say you have open access to my email and everything. But if I find out you're going into my email and emailing people and going, who are you? This is
that's weird.
You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, well, no, you don't get access because your behavior's off base. You know what I mean? But I think generally the answer is an easy yes. I just think there can be reasons where I'd go with rules on some of that, depending on how the person behaves. Because we all have issues, man, and we can take something that's purely good and turn it into something where you're always accusing. And it's like, there's nothing here. Go look again. You know, where it's like you're just looking for something.
I mean, I feel like there's already an issue if you're like wondering if that, you know, if you're fighting over that you know you can't have access. There's probably a reason on either side. You know, like I always assume the worst about people, so I think that they're probably asking because they know that they're doing something they shouldn't.
That's often the case.
I don't always assume the worst about people.
And you're having conversations, but so here would be another one. Because I don't think this is necessarily detrimental to the relationship. So let's say that you have access to each other's phones, and you know some conversation with you and a girlfriend about either that girlfriend or some stuff you're feeling in the marriage and frustration, that it's almost like going in and reading somebody's diary.
Right.
Like you shouldn't, there should be a space where you can vent and share emotions, where I'm not trying to build a relationship with someone of the opposite sex, but I got a buddy and I'm frustrated in marriage and I'm just venting to my buddy. That would not be healthy for you to have access to it.
Right.
That's why I say I think there's levels.
So what's the answer then?
The general answer is we should have access to everything of one another, because that builds trust. And I think the more areas of unity and openness, the less room there is for foolishness. But I do think we need some level of, I've got to be able to have a conversation with a friend who's healthy about the frustrations of my marriage, because the reality is marriage is tough.
Right.
There's going to be times I'll be like, you know, I can't stand you, you can't stand me, and you need to be able to vent that to somebody. I want you to.
I mean, I don't
want to
text
know
that to someone, but
I mean, different people do, or an email, or it's like people who have a journal. You write the journal. I'm writing my thoughts and feelings at the moment. I don't journal, but a diary thing, and I don't want to read those.
I don't want you to ever read them.
Well, now I want to read them.
No, you promised you would never read them.
I don't want to read them because I don't. There's moments when you're in pain or hurt or believe in lies that you write or say stuff that is not reality, and the other person will never forget it. And so that's why I would say the answer is we should have access. There may be some exceptions. And again, if you have a spouse who's been unfaithful in the past and this has been an issue, they got no leg to stand on.
No.
Like, you have to be open to rebuild trust. And my exceptions I just gave, sorry, man, figure out a different way. Like, call your buddy. Don't text them or email them or that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's why I said it's hard. That one's harder than just simple.
Okay, I know it is. You're right.
The simple was yes.
The simple is yes. I mean, I just don't, if you have nothing to hide, then who cares? There's no reason why you wouldn't. Yeah. But I do agree that if there are private conversations between you and a friend that you just need to talk about, I agree.
But when your spouse wants access and you don't want to give them access, that will always 100% of the time cause them to not trust you and be like, this doesn't feel good. This is shady.
Exactly.
So be open, be honest, be transparent, and then.
Okay, what if they can't come to a resolution? Sorry, we're going really over on this, but what if they can't come to a resolution on that? Like, you know, say I want access to your phone, and you're like, no, I don't think that you need that, because maybe you're doing something, maybe you're not.
If you can't come to a resolution, then that's going to be a point of contention and mistrust in the relationship, and it's going to be a point of conflict that you never resolve.
I think that's when you like. That's when you bring in the outside
people. You got to go to counselors. You
Yeah.
got to get some outside people that you're willing to submit to, because otherwise, okay, you can stand on that all day.
Because at the end of the day, I think if the person is doing something bad and they don't want them to see, that's why they're going to fold before it gets to the point of going to someone else, because then they know they're going to be exposed, because those people will most likely say.
Yeah, there's some people who just be like, I'm not going to a counselor and you don't have access and it just is what it is. And no, I've talked to those people, and that just means good on you. So your relationship will never be the kind that has full intimacy and connection, and because you've decided you don't have access here, and that's you're settling for an average, below average relationship, and that's tough. So that's my thoughts on this. Man, these are hard. You guys got to ease them up. How about just something simple next time?
Like,
I don't know. Some of them would seem like they're easier. Like, should you have friends of the opposite sex? No. Should you, some of those kind of things that I just feel like.
I know we know how you feel about that.
I feel like those ones are a little bit easier. Hey, if we can help you in any way in your relationship, check out the description box below. We got links to, free resources, classes, courses, upcoming stuff. Would love to help you in any way. And then we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.